Hey everybody, I'm in my car, so work with that. That's a little weird, but I know, not an unusual place to make a video. But I wanted to try making a video to see how that would work on the blog, because I'm thinking about in the future making some videos where I'm actually showing you the recipes and working alongside so you guys can see in time how that works rather than just with the photographs. When I started the blog, the whole idea was to just do recipes. And I wasn't really expecting, one, the positive feedback that I've gotten, which has been great, but two, for a lot of the feelings about dieting and about being overweight to kind of come up and be a big part of the blog. But I'm really glad that they are, because I feel that is kind of a spot where there's a lot of discussion, but not necessarily a lot of the discussion that reflects on me and the people that I speak with about things. There's definitely a lot of discussion, about why weight should be lost, obesity, comorbidities, the overall effect on one's health. Plus, there's a lot of social stigma that definitely exists. I can, send some references, and I will include some down in the link above the video. Pardon me, below the video. But one of the things that I feel like doesn't really get discussed is the mentality that happens when you happen to be overweight. And that really is important, because that feeling that the world views you as a very slovenly, just lazy, someone with no self-esteem, someone who doesn't really care, that affects more than just having the knowledge. That affects your whole life. I know for a fact, I go to a gym twice a week. I have a physical therapist who helps me work on building up the strength to work on things, because I have arthritis. And that's what put me off working out a lot. I wasn't a hugely active kid. Then it started to be painful to be active, and I just quit doing it. And my weight very quickly got kind of out of control. But I was never someone who just sat around eating like snacky cakes and potato chips. I don't keep that stuff in my house. It's not from lack of interest in health that I kind of became fat. But I do know that you do feel that way. Sometimes it feels like everybody in the world has that judgment on you, that when they look at you, the first thing they see, the biggest thing they see is your weight. And other things just are less important than your weight. And that's not okay. And it can dissuade you from going back to a gym, because it certainly has me. I've gone with every intention of working out to be part of a healthier plan for my life, and gotten in and been the only overweight person there, and left and cried and had terrible panic and not been able to deal with the idea of feeling like everyone is looking at you. And that's not really okay, especially when you live in a world that isn't really built for fat people. For every person that lives that stereotype, that lives that reality of being on a scooter when they might not need to be, or a person who is buying an incredible amount of junk food that they probably shouldn't. There's a person who has to walk through, aisle after aisle after aisle of processed, greasy, sugared food, and that's very difficult. That's very difficult. I was in a store today, as a matter of fact, and there was in the impulse aisle, which is, of course, right before you reach the register when you're stuck in line having to stand in front of it. And there were 7 different types of chocolate and popcorn that's coated in caramel and, bubble gum and all this stuff. And then right beside it was a Life and Style magazine, just sitting up with, like the cellulite of the famous. And we live in such a world where it's so available to you, and so offered, and so inexpensive, and so plentiful, right beside the shame of ever actually having it. And I was in an Old Navy. I wasn't in a grocery store. I wasn't in a Quickie Mart. I was in I was buying pants to go to the gym. And I know, Old Navy, it's cheap. But I needed spandex, and it was $8. I'm not buying $40 pants or going to an athletic store where there's no way they have something in my size. So I was in Old Navy. But that's kind of the world you live in. And, I had that stall the past couple of days. If you read my blog, I've had a difficulty trying to get over a little plateau, which I broke today. And I was so happy I'd broken that plateau that I tried to think about, yesterday, when all I had was the apple diet, when I was really sticking to that, I wasn't indulging anything, I wasn't feeling badly about it. It was just another thing, another, take. And I'm so happy now because I've at this point lost 20 pounds on my diet. But it's not those sorts of hits that are the ones that hurt. It's the ones where you don't feel like the world you're in represents you. And I feel like that, without trying to make light of any particular person's situation, that's an awful way to feel. I feel like that must be, I don't know, I'm speculating, how it must feel to be any kind of outsider in society. I don't want to be, a size 22. I don't want to be 300 pounds. I don't want to be any of those things. But the path to getting better is considerably harder than it seems the world accepts or allows. And so I feel like there needs to be a balance to that. There needs to be some celebration to just committing to the doing it that also acknowledges how difficult it is, the just doing it. And that's difficult, but that's one of the things I definitely want to do on this blog. I want to talk about, it's hard. It's so hard to not give in to diet things that, in very large print on the front, tell you that they're super effective and they're going to, make you happy and you're going to be skinny and you're going to look gorgeous and it's finally going to work. And all that's trying to do is take your money, and they don't work. There's hundreds and hundreds of them that don't work. And, you slap a celebrity on the box who's never been fat, and she's going to tell you that you could no longer be fat, and she has no idea how hard that is. And you couple that with, foods that are just cheats that aren't really helping you out because, the aim is to take your money, not make you better. The only change that's going to work is consistent, refusing to give up, positive moving forward, eating healthier, learning to eat less, being more active, resisting terrible temptations, balancing when you actually have a treat, when you actually have some license, and just not ever giving up. That's definitely something I wanted to do and I wanted to talk about because I didn't realize how important that was to me until I was faced with it. I got on the scale today and I felt so much better that I'd finally gotten over that hump. But it wasn't even about the weight at this point. It's about that I didn't give up, that I didn't stop. And boy, there are times when I want to. And not even for the things that I think are unhealthy. Things that, I'm not craving a cheeseburger. I'm craving like a salad. I'm craving some cheeses, little things like that. Not hugely, not ice cream, not candy bars. I don't miss that kind of stuff at all. But food can be tricky. So I'm going to keep doing the recipes, and I'm going to keep mentioning the things that come up to me. But I wanted to make a video so I could say directly to anybody who is reading, this is kind of who I am. I'm being as direct as possible, as open as possible about the situation that I'm in. When I get frustrated, when I get stuck, I try to expose that because I don't want to make this look like it's easy, but I don't want you to get the impression that it's not possible. You just kind of have to keep that chin up. You have to, make light of the situation, embrace the reality of it. And if it's hard, good, because it is hard. Don't forget to give yourself credit for having done something difficult, something that lots of people don't necessarily do or they don't think that they can do. And when you get those little moments, even if it's just a couple of pounds, even if it's not buying something that's right out in front of you, celebrate those because you should. That's really impressive and really great. And it's going to pay off eventually. I'm proof of it. 20 pounds so far. So let's keep that going so that you guys know today I'm having the sandwiches, the wrap sandwiches that I've already listed, and I'm having the chicken soup for dinner. And I will be back tomorrow with some sort of new recipe that I will come up with, I'm sure. In the meantime, take care, healthy eating, and all the best. I hope you guys stick with it too.